I'm so excited to be with you guys. I, like was announced, was in Cohort 1, the OGs, and we had no idea what we were doing. And I think we came here first, and it wasn't set forth that we were going to pitch as far as like guidelines. They basically said, hey, just get up and talk about your organization. And so we did that, and I think we all took about 15 minutes to 20 minutes apiece. But I do remember the feeling of walking into this beautiful space and thinking, like the first thing, my friend who was with me leaned over and she's like, Cindy, what did you get us into? And it was a scary place for a moment. Do we belong here? Why are we here? Especially in the nonprofit realm, coming in with entrepreneurs in the for-profit world. So I just wanted to tell you I am in it with you in regards to the feelings you have about those pitches and being in this space. But since I have had the blessing of spending a lot of time with this team, I can tell you they are the most kind and loving and generous individuals on the planet. And when they say that they want to love you well, they will love you well, and they absolutely mean it. So you are in probably one of the safest places that you could be to explore entrepreneurship, the redemptive frame, and of course, I'm going to walk you through a wild ride with identity. So when Brian talks about there are more important things than money, the most important thing is you, little boy you, little girl you, the most precious and priceless thing on the planet. So oftentimes as we go through our life, we forget about little boy you, little girl you, the dreams, the freedoms, the things that you had in mind for your life. So today we're going to talk about identity, and we're going to visit little boy you, little girl you. Does that sound okay? I will need everybody to be thoughtful and mindful about courage. When it comes to like self-work, identity work, mental health work, the journey that we get on to move towards healing. I work in my office with the little bitties, all the way up to adults. And it's amazing how under the age of 8, those little bitties walk in and they will sit down and they will play and they will do some of the hardest work on the planet, facing some of the darkest experiences in the world at 8. And once they start to grow, the walls start to go up. It's a little bit more scary now for me to look at my things. It's a little more scary now for me to look at my things. And it just starts to build from the age of 8 on. The individuals who are the single hardest people to work with have the biggest walls, the adults. They are terrified and scared to look back at some of the painful moments in their lives. I was just interviewing a new therapist the other day, and I was talking to him about, well, if you're going to work at Halo, we do work with kids. How do you feel about that? He's like, oh, I love to work with kids. I don't want to work with adults. And I said, well, why don't you want to work with adults? He said, because they don't change. And I was like, well, that's telling. So as we move into just this section, what I'm going to ask you to do is be courageous like an 8-year-old and look at the things that I'm going to walk you through. So many things that we talk about, especially in the mental health field, there's a subsection of the work that we do that we call talk therapy, where you're just coming in and there's an exchange of ideas, and people can change by those moments. We can change in an instant with a word, a conversation, a loved one. But oftentimes, the deeper work requires something more than just talk. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take you guys much deeper than just talking. Are you game? Are you going to do you feel courageous like an 8-year-old? Nobody's run out of the room quite yet. So we're going to go for it. Okay. We are going to talk about identity, but I want to talk about the human condition first. As humans, everyone in this room specifically, we have some things in common. There are 3 things that I think about that I focus my attention on when I'm studying. One is this idea of suffering. I basically study suffering for a living. And then not only do I study suffering, but I look for solutions to help us manage through the suffering so that the suffering will end, and to take the lessons that the suffering provided for us with us into the next chapter. So as individuals, every single one of us in this room has suffered. And if you haven't, I have some terrible news for you, because we do not get out of here without it. It is part of being here in the world, right? We all suffer. We've all experienced suffering. The second piece of that would counter suffering is this idea of identity. Because if I am defined by Christ, not defined by the world, then I have everything within me to manage any suffering. If I do not know who I am and I'm not defined, I will not be able to manage suffering well. So those two things go hand in hand. And as believers, my guess is your journey has been somewhat like most other humans in this idea of, who am I? Who does God say I am? Who does the world say I am? Who does my mother say I am? Who does my colleagues say I am? Who do my friends think I am? Who in the world am I? And we ponder, what in the world are we supposed to do with our time? What is our calling? We want to know who we are. We want to know what our calling is. And then the third thing that we have in common is that we have for some reason, have been more blessed than imaginable, and we have been exposed to the God Most High. My first exposure was my mom. Actually, my mom was a diehard lover of Jesus, hands and feet all the way. My father was an atheist, right? I had this messaging and I had this messaging. My dad would used to say, I belong to the church of the here and now, meaning if I can see it and measure it, it must be true. And my mom's over here, don't listen to dad. That's not true, right? But because I had my mother, I had the mirror in the best human way possible that she could provide of what and who Christ actually is. So somewhere you heard it, so somewhere someone represented it. Maybe it was a friend at Falls Creek. So maybe someone dragged you to Falls Creek. But we've all been exposed. So we have those three things in common, which is going to lead us to start to understand how performance and preciousness are coming about in identity. Suffering puts us in a position where we can easily be defined by the world. When we suffer, that's an opportunity for a lie or a flaming arrow, whatever you want to call it, to enter in. When we're talking about performance and preciousness, we're talking about this idea, like they had talked about this morning, of you are not your venture, you are not your work. It's very easy for us to decide, okay, if I don't know who I am, I'm not defined by Christ, or if I don't know my worth, if I don't really believe that I'm precious and priceless, one way that I can manage in life is to perform. Because after all, if I do something seemingly amazing, I can tell myself, see, I'm okay. Look what you did. Look what you can do. Right? We tie performance and preciousness together, and it's a vital mistake, because I can tell you right now, like I could say, well, I'm a counselor. I help people for a living. Good job, Cindy. That feels great. That's not going to work, because guess what? I'm going to retire, right? I'm not going to be a counselor forever. And if I tie my worth up into what I do, it will fail. It will fall. It's never going to work. And what happens the day? And this happened to me the other day. I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. Because of the travel, I keep a small caseload. And because of the travel, when I'm doing an interview to bring on a new client, I explain that I do travel some. I can't be consistent with our sessions. Will this work for you? And I kind of explain how I manage that. And I got a text on Monday this week from a family that said, I'm so sorry, we don't want to come to counseling anymore because it's been so inconsistent. Right? Dagger. And so in those moments, if I tied my worth up into my performance, what would I be telling myself in that moment? Because I didn't perform well. I got fired. Right? We have to take those two things and separate them out. So that's going to be my first challenge to you. We often put those together, which is dangerous. The other thing that we often do is we get confused about the idea of self-worth and self-esteem. People use this interchangeably, even in literature. Self-worth really is the belief in your own value. So if I have high self-worth, I believe I'm valuable. If I have low self-worth, I believe that I am not. Self-esteem is the belief in your ability to perform. So if I believe that I can perform well at a task, if you give me a task and I believe I can figure it out, then I'm operating in high self-esteem. If I'm in low self-esteem and you give me a task, I probably won't even try it. So again, we try to perform our way into worth. But those things are incredibly different, and we have to make sure that we remember that. No matter our performance, we're always precious and priceless. Nobody can take that away from us. The other trap that we fall in, I believe, especially as Christians, is this idea of self, die to self. I mean, it was on here. In our, depending on your background, I was raised die to self, right? What we mean by that, though, isn't negate of self. It's negate of flesh. It's negate of ego. So when we define ego, we're talking about this idea that I'm better than somebody else, or I'm more worthy than somebody else, or I'm more valuable than somebody else. That is flesh. That's what we want to kill. Me, Cindy Lee, child of God, I want to feed that. I want to fuel that. I want to grow that, because that's who God created in me. If I enter into flesh or ego or thinking that I'm some talented young person, more so than somebody else, I am in high danger. So when we talk about die to self, I want you to also leave a window open for self-love. And what I mean by that is not loving myself more than somebody else. I'm just saying I'm going to honor who God created in me just as much as I would honor who God created in all of you. I can't look at all of you and say, I love all of you. You are all children of God and I love you. And then look in the mirror and say, but not this one. I want to love all of you, and I'm going to include myself in that. I'm not going to give myself more, because I'm not more than anybody else. So we have to leave space for that. We don't want to smush our identity that God created within us down because we're picking up this idea of dying to self. We want to die to flesh and ego and better than. Okay? All right. So when we're talking about the identity, we can talk about who defines us. This is pretty straightforward. When I talk about this idea and thinking about how we were created in God's image, most Christians, most believers, if I went up to them and said, are you created in God's image? They'd say, yep. But if I take it one step further and ask, but what is his image? Then they're like, I'm not really sure. They can give me adjectives to describe him: creator, love, father, like all the ways that he's described. But how does that translate into this idea of his image and who I actually am? When we think about who God is, first and foremost, always love. Love leads. So he's saying, you are created in my image. My image is first and foremost love. So what does that actually mean? And he defines what love is for us. So when we look at 1 Corinthians describing what love is, he's saying, this is my identity. This is also what's within you. Now, we are never going to be Jesus. We will fail over and over and over again. But he is saying, this is it. This is what I'm putting in you. This is your identity. So when we talk about this idea of what that actually is, I spent many years trying to figure out my identity, my calling. And what I realize now, and I've carried this with me for some time, is that I know exactly who I am because he told me. I'm a daughter of the King. I'm his daughter. Wow, I got a cool father, right? I'm a daughter. I'm his daughter. I'm a lot of other things. I'm also a mom. I'm a counselor. I'm all these other things. But identity, just daughter. That's exactly who I am. And then when we think about this idea of calling, and actually we all have the same identity, by the way. You're all sons and daughters. That is who you are. That is your identity. Nobody can take that away from you. And that's who you should be when you wake up. And then this idea of calling, this gets into some semantic stuff, so bear with me. But when I think about calling, what we're talking about here is, what is he asking me to do? He's asking me to love as he loves. You are my daughter. Get up. Love as I love. Every single day. That's all you got. The one thing on the to-do list. One. Love. Love as I love. That's it. Get up. You are my daughter. Go love. Get up. You are my daughter. Go love. I am fueling you because I am your father. You have the safety and protection of all that I have promised you. This is your home. If I said my calling was to be a counselor, does that mean when I'm checking out at, I'm a Walmart girl, I'm a social worker. You guys might be at Target, I'm at Walmart. Checking out at Walmart, oh, I'm off duty because my calling is that I'm a counselor. So I'm not in my calling right now. Do I have to be nice to everybody in the Walmart? The calling doesn't start and end. He's saying, get up, love whoever I put in front of you, and go to bed. And sometimes that feels like a very daunting thing. It is the most freeing thing. And when I start to get jumbled, Natanya talked about the growth at Halo. It's jumbling in my mind. And when I start to feel that pull of like, what are we doing? Where are we going? How there's too many open doors. Which partners do we partner with? Where do we go? It's like the grounding in me is, you are a child of God. You just have to love who he puts in front of you. Now go. Right? There's an interesting part about this equation is, okay, Nike. What is Nike's slogan? Just do it. I have a thing with Nike because I'm a mental health professional, and I think about, okay, sure, I'll just go be done with my trauma, no problem, right? I'll just go do the thing. I'll go do the dream. I'll be done with the suffering. It's not like that. It's not simple like that. We have landed in the place of being defined by the world through very heated moments and through very heated and powerful relationships. And so one of the things that we know is this idea of like, how do we not just do it because it doesn't exist? I have to actually do the work. I have to actually face it and do actual work, not just read a book. And so when it comes to this, I want to take us back to like the very beginning. Like in the Bible, he's talking about the beginning of Genesis where we're defined. That science idea backs up this theory. And it's this idea of how self-worth is actually formed in the world. Like, how come some people have it and some people don't? How do we get it? And what happens is basically when a baby is born, they have one voice. What is it? What do babies do? Right? They cry. They're good at it. They cry between 150 to 200,000 times in the first 2 years of life. Any young mamas or daddies in here? Yeah, I'm so sorry. Right? That's no wonder everyone's so tired. That is a lot of crying. So the design, though, is to be mimicked by Heavenly Father. So there's this idea of a crying child, an infant. Baby cries. Caregiver's job is to come. And they become a detective. Are you too hot? Are you too cold? Are you hungry? Are you wet? Do I need to change your diaper? Do you just need comfort? Are you scared? Do you have a little hair wrapped around your toe? We come in. We are detectives. And if we come in with nurture, not with my headphones on the phone to my bestie trying to feed my infant, but if I come in with nurture, the best that I can muster at 2 a.m., by the way, oh, baby, mama's here. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here. 200,000 times I go, wah, the giant human comes in, boom. It's okay, baby. I am right here. Wouldn't that be nice if we still had that? What happens in that moment is that little infant's like, okay, they see me, they hear me, therefore I have value. I'm valuable. I use my voice. The giant human comes, offers me exactly what I need, and with love. I matter. I count. I'm a valuable thing. But God's design is more than, as humans, we actually are more than just needy creatures. It's not about just having our needs met. That is half of the equation. The other half of the equation is this idea that I am born and I have something, unique gifts and talents, every single one of us. And we have an innate biological and relational desire to put it out into the world, for the world to receive it, turn back to us and say, it is good. We all do it. We all have it. We all want to put it out there. For an infant, one of the first ways that they start to explore authenticity and creative output, they smile. Okay, come on, y'all. What happens when a baby smiles and there's a giant human around? I probably am accused of being a stalker in Walmart when I follow the cute babies that are smiling and we're playing the game. They smile, we smile back. And not only do we smile back, but like we get our phones, we record it. Oh my goodness, it's the most amazing thing on the planet. In that moment, what's happening is that infant is saying, I'm putting myself out there, and everything I do is magical and cute, and the giant human is delighting in all of the things that I'm putting out into the world. And in that moment, that infant is saying, they see me, they hear me, I am valuable. Wouldn't it be great if all babies got that? They don't, by the way. You might not have. Very few do. What happens, though, is let's say if a baby gets that, let's say little Sally. Little Sally got that. She's solid. She knows her worth. She knows her value. And she is moving on to big, bad, wide world of kindergarten. She's out on the playground. Johnny comes up. Sally, you're so stupid. That does not feel good to Sally. She's feeling some type of way about that. She goes home. She goes to her caregivers. Mom, Dad, Johnny called me stupid on the playground. Oh, baby. Johnny must have been having a really bad day. You are so smart, and we love you so much. And you know what Sally's response will be? Well, I thought so. Because her whole experience sent a different message than that one incident on the playground. And Johnny's sending her a message that A is a lie, but it doesn't land. But does she feel some type of way? Yeah, because it hurts. She gets the lie rectified. She's solid. Johnny comes up the next day. You're so stupid. No, I don't think so. I'm sorry you're having a rough day, Johnny. I'm going to go play. But if Sally did not go home and tell caregivers what happened on the playground, maybe she's feeling shame. Maybe she's confused. She doesn't get it rectified by a safe, loving adult. And she's got it in her head. Am I stupid? I think I'm smart. Maybe I'm not smart. Doesn't tell anyone, goes back to kindergarten the next day. We're coloring. Sally keeps going outside the lines. I can't even color right. I must be stupid. If I look for evidence to support a lie, I will find it. She picks that up. I'm not smart. That one lie transferred to Sally on the playground in kindergarten can make 1,000 decisions different from that point on. That one lie picked up then, maybe she doesn't pursue higher ed. Maybe she stops talking in class. Her grades might start to fail. She stops trying. Right? She doesn't express herself anymore. So my thought and question to you when I'm talking about how self-worth is formed and these lies, when I say we can't just do it, the reason we can't just do it is because we carry lies. If I believe that I am not good enough and we're going to coffee and Sarah says, Cindy, what do you mean? You are good enough. God loves you. I'll be like, thank you. Am I going to take that and be like, okay, check, just did it. I'm good now. I no longer believe that lie anymore. No, I'm going to say thank you. And it's going to feel good for a moment, maybe. But in my head, I'm like, she don't know me. She didn't know. She didn't really know. I haven't let her see that side of me yet. So in order for us to move forward with identity, we have to be able to replace the lies with truth. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually try one. Let me see where we are. We're going to try. Yeah, we're going to do it. Okay. So this is the courage part. This is the honoring of the little one inside of you that would like some relief. We are going to actually do a session like I would do in the counseling office. We're going to do a guided visualization. So what I'd like for you to do is pick a lie that you believe. Here's some examples. You might have your own on repeat. Just pick one from here. And just remember, with this lie loaded in a heated moment, so it does feel scary, but that heated moment was a long time ago, and that is not who you are with the strengths that you have today. Okay, does everyone have a lie? All right, so I'm going to have you guys close your eyes if you feel safe and comfortable to do so. Nobody's staring at you. And then we're going to start by just relaxing the system. So go ahead and take a deep breath in, deep breath out. One more, deep breath in, deep breath out. And then we're going to just continue to relax the system. So we're going to start almost at the very tippy top of your head and just relax the top of your head. And then allow that relaxation to flow down through your ears, the muscles on your face, your neck, letting go of any fear or tension you might be feeling in your shoulders, just letting it calm. Allowing that relaxation to flow down through your arms, your elbows, your wrists. And pushing any tension that you're feeling out through your fingertips, just releasing it out into the room, letting it go. Then we're going to come back up to the very top of our neck and just slowly relaxing all the way down the front, paying a little special attention to calming our stomach. And then we'll come back to the very top of our spine. We're just using our spine as a guide as we calm and move down, just making sure to get the whole part of your back as you slowly calm. Just letting go. And allowing that to continue through your upper legs, your knees, your calves. Relaxing your ankles, the top of your feet, the bottoms of your feet. Just pushing any remaining tension in your body out through your toes. Just go ahead and release it out into the room. And then as you relax, what I'd like for you to do is inside your mind, I'd like for you to go ahead and make your authentic self, the self that God created, make that self as strong and as powerful as you can. And as you're focused on making your true self strong, focus on staying calm, but also courageous. And then what I'd like for you to do is think about that lie that you're focused on. And just pay attention to your whole body now and see if you can find some kind of activity in some location that might be associated with this lie. Just some activity that might be trying to get your attention a little bit. And don't worry if you're not sure. But once you find maybe a spot that's trying to get your attention, what I'd like for you to do is really focus on it. Be super curious about that activity. And as you're focused on it, what I'd like for you to do is imagine standing in front of you, the younger version of you who's been carrying this lie. And as you look upon them, do so with compassion and grace and love. And then what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and mentally move over to them, approach them the way a loving caregiver would. And I'd like for you to tell them how old you are now, and then let them know a few great things about your life, just so they're oriented to you. I'm going to give you just a minute to do that. And then after you catch them up, what I'd like for you to do is let them know that you know they've been carrying this burden for a while and that you're actually there to help them with it. And then just take a moment to talk to that younger version about what happened. And then what I'd like for you to do is imagine somewhere between the two of you is some kind of empty container or box. And what I'd like for you to do is just mentally remove all the pain associated with this lie from your younger version and from you, and just mentally place it inside the box. Just try to get as much as you possibly can. And then once the box is full, go ahead and secure it shut. And then ask your younger version how they would like to destroy the box, be impressed by their creativity. And once they share that with you, go ahead and destroy that box together. And then once the box is destroyed, what I'd like for you to do is ask your younger version where they would like to go, where they would feel the most safe. It might be a surprise to you. And go ahead and go there with them. And then once you're in this space, just orient yourself to it. What do you see? What does the air feel like? What do you smell? And then what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and imagine Jesus being in this room with you, or outside, wherever you are. Bring Jesus in. He's standing before the two of you. And what I would like for you to do is allow Jesus to explain to you exactly who you are. And as he explains to you who you are, I want you to mentally take the truth and replace all the spaces in your body and your younger version's body with the truth of who he says you are. I'll give you just a minute to do that. And then just take a moment to orient yourself to what this feels like. To have truth inside. To let go of that lie. Let this become a feeling of normalcy. Sometimes when our younger versions let go of a lie, sometimes they're excited and they want to play or hang out. Sometimes they just want to rest. So go ahead and ask your younger version if they would like to rest or if they would like to play and hang out. If they choose to rest, go ahead and tuck them in the way the most loving caregiver would. And if they would like to play or hang out, play with them. Have fun. I'm going to give you just a minute to do that. And go ahead and tell your younger version that they are precious and they are priceless. Tell them that you love them and that you'll be back to check on them. Then take as much time as you need here. And when you're ready, I'll have you open your eyes and come back to the room. Going to hang here for a minute. It always takes a minute to reorient to this space. So we're just going to hang. Just be comfortable in our own selves for a minute. I'm curious if anybody would like to share any part of their experience. There's no expectation. Yes, that would be lovely. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a blessing to all of us for you to share that. Thank you. Would anybody else like to share anything on your heart that you'd like to say before we keep going? Just show of hands, how many of you were surprised by what just happened in any way? Okay. I've learned, so I would sometimes do portions of these exercises at conferences. Like we would do an all-day pre-conference and we would go through all these different things with identity. And the first time I did it as an all-day pre-conference, I did what I just did with you guys, like right before or right after lunch. And I still had to speak until like 4:30. And nobody was home. Everybody was gone in their minds. They were just like, I'm going to sit with this now. So I've learned, do that last, right? Do it last. You are going to have time in your reflection groups, I believe, to decompress and share. I will say that there's an added layer of processing and healing that occurs when you tell your story. That doesn't mean you have to tell all of your story, but I would also continue with that courageous side of you and sharing in your small groups about your experience. It will just give an extra layer there. When we're talking about this idea of identity, what I want us to remember is when we're taking this self-journey walk, just like what we just did here, like that's just a small piece of moving towards letting go of the things we're not, right? The lie is the thing we're not. And I can't walk in both truth and lie at the same time. I either have to lean into who God says I am and do the work to replace the lies with truth, or I'm going to carry them. But I will never get to the place of full identity and freedom if I'm not doing the work to say no to the lie, to the worldly definition of who I am, and lean into who Christ says that I am. It is worthy work. And when we're talking about entrepreneurship, it is probably the most important work that you can do as a leader. So not only for you, like we do the work for ourselves so that we can lean into and have that experience with God, but we also do it for the greater good, right? In order for me to take the self-discovery journey, I actually have to focus on me a lot. Me. Why do I believe this lie, la, la, la. Not flesh, but I have to turn inward and focus on me, my life, my experience, what I picked up, where I picked it up, where the healing has to happen, forgiveness of self for the things that I can say that I've done that were not the most prettiest things throughout my life. But I do the work so that I can flip it out. Sometimes when we're doing some of our classes like this, we'll talk about this idea of you can't give something you don't have, right? We've all heard this. And when I'm training other professional counselors in how we do this work, I go to them and I say, we can't give what we don't have. Now, imagine saying that to a group of mental health professionals that have signed up to only love other people for their career, and I'm walking in saying, from what well are we drawing from? And it's a very touchy thing when we teach this. And so I always have to say, no, listen. If you have chosen to love others, you are loving well. You are loving well. We can love well from the lies. We can love well from hurt. You are loving well. But I will say, loving from a place of knowing your identity in Christ, where you have freedom, is a whole different kind of loving. Because when you have freedom, you don't have a bunch of buttons, right? The emotional buttons people can press. So if I'm loving from a well of lies, I can show up, but I will run out. I will exhaust it. I will love to a place, and then I don't have any more to give. I don't know how to show up now. But if I love from a place of freedom and identity, I can get past all of these pieces. one of the things that I want to talk to you about, it's not showing up here, so I don't know how to change it. Thank you. Is this idea of how all this plays out in the redemptive framework. I personally believe that we can't get to redemptive if we're not doing our own work. Because like I just said, we will run out. To be able to stand in that place of sacrifice requires us to know who we are. The other thing I would say is that we don't ever arrive. We don't just get there. I'm still doing all my own work, right? We don't arrive, but we can be always on that road to that place of freedom. One of the things that I've been studying right now, which I find fascinating and that you might as well as leaders, is this idea of attachment, this idea of that baby that cries, right? Baby cries, caregiver comes with nurture. Come and I delight. One of the things that I've noticed is as a leader, I am the attachment figure for the people who work at Halo. That means when they cry, I have to come with nurture. And when they show me a project, I get to delight in it. Now, if I was pulling from an empty cup and I heard a lot of employee crying, I would be mad. Why are we complaining? We got it good, guys. What are we complaining about? Right? I would get mad. They're crying. I have to come with love. They're showing me something. I have to delight in them. I like to say I get to. One of the things that also comes with that place of being an attachment figure as a redemptive entrepreneur is something called projection. Are you guys familiar with projection? You're like, yes. One of the things that happens as a leader, as an attachment figure leader, you are now one of the safest people in that person's life. Which means if they feel safe with you, they're going to project everything onto you. And you're like, what am I experiencing here? This is not adding up to anything having to do with our relationship, but they're projecting everything on me because they're trying to work something out. And if we don't know that and we're operating from an empty well, there's a chance that person could get fired with what they're projecting. So as we step into this redemptive framework, we, I believe, want to be on that journey to identity. We want to explore this idea of being an attachment figure, which we can only be if we are healthy and know who we are. And then we want to be mindful of some of the pitfalls that come from entrepreneurship, redemptive leadership, one of which is now you're safe, so you're going to get all kinds of things. And to not be surprised by that it's not a negative. Right? Okay. Any questions for me? Any questions about this journey? Any questions about this work? Any questions about identity? Yeah.
Today she's pretty destructive. She went out and got box. And before she was a little, timid, but she did.
She's fiery today. Yeah, I love that.
Which is great to see because that's not how she's always been.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So one of the things that Tracy mentioned is a program called Making Sense of Your Worth. That program is available to all of you. It's as simple as signing up, but it's an 8-week. We have men's classes and we have women's classes, and it's for everybody. It's not a counseling group. It's not like you see on TV where everyone's sitting in a circle, albeit there's nothing wrong with that, but people are afraid of it. It is taking the journey like we just did times a billion. And so if you are serious about doing any work, that is available to you. Just go sign up at Halo. But that program, the reason that I was in Finland and some other places is because I was teaching that program. So as part of the entrepreneurship journey, we're now in, I think, 43 different states in the United States and 18 different countries. So it's been translated into multiple languages. The reason it is successful is because it works, not because of anything else. There's no big marketing scheme. It just, it's word of mouth, that entire spread. So if you were 8 and I was telling you about this amazing new Lego toy that would bring you joy and freedom, you would all buy the toy. You are not 8. You are now a grown-up, and I'm telling you about a potential new toy that will bring you freedom. And a lot of you are like, I didn't sign up for that class. I would say sign up for the class. Just do it. You could always quit. You could go week 1 and not go back. But it's probably the fastest, easiest way to get you moving forward on this potential journey. Huh? Yes, so we have it for teens. We have it for young ones. It's available to all. It was interesting, we train facilitators in that, and we have online men's groups. And our facilitator, Scott, he lives in Texas, but he does it virtually for us and other people across the country. And he called me the other day, and he's like, Cindy, I got this group of men here. And I'm like, yeah, that's so exciting. And he's like, yeah, they're all husbands to people who went through your training because they all left and signed up their husbands. It's like, but that's a wonderful thing, right? It's a wonderful thing. But I think both of you have a question or a thought.
How often should you talk to your little person? I mean, I'm sure it varies probably from person to person. I mean, I've done, I guess you call it mirror work, but never really talked to my little person.
Yeah.
I really enjoy talking
Yeah.
to my little person. How often should we do that? And should we always be really like gentle parenting to your little person, or should it be tough love?
I don't know that they need any tough love because they're there. If you want to tough love you now, maybe with love and kindness. I think it's just, they don't go away. Like if you wanted to go right back to the space you just were 2 months from now, in an instant you would be there. So it's just if you want to go visit her or not. It's just personal preference. Yeah.
I struggle with any forms of imagination. I don't have it. I've never really had it. And so this was tough.
Yes.
I couldn't even picture a younger version of myself. So any tips for that? I mean, I
Yes.
got there kind of,
Okay, so
but I couldn't even picture it.
about 1 to 3% of the population cannot picture it.
1 to 3%.
1 to 3%. You're unique and special. But it's just a way that the brain is processing visual. So when that happens, had I known that ahead, which I would never know, but had I known that, then I would have used different words in the thing, and I would have had you keep your eyes open. And then I would just say imagine instead of visualize. Yeah. So it's common. It's 1 to 3% common. Yeah. Yes.
Is there, like, it's interesting to me because I talk to my younger self all day. And so it's like, is there an overkill with this? Because then I was thinking, like, it's hard. How am I going to do this all day?
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm. Most people have an inner dialogue in your head all day. Most people have a dialogue inside their head all day. And if you think about if we're having a dialogue inside of our head in any way, shape, or form, there's got to be 2. So it's like, if I'm having a dialogue in my head, should I do that? Should I not? I think this is a good idea. Would that be a good idea? This would be fun. All of that. What the way that we're created is that we have our authentic self, our true self who God created, but we have parts of ourselves too. And so your authentic self is usually talking to a part of you, like a part of you that manages social situations, a part of you that has to get this piece of work done. We can be authentic in that, but there are times when we step out of authenticity. We can't be 100% authentic all of the time. Just think about like a threat, a safety threat. In those moments, maybe I'm in a conversation and I sense a safety threat that if I shared my authentic idea at this moment, it would not be safe. Then a part of me is entering into this situation to manage it, and then I'm moving out. So we do have a dialogue inside of our head. It's usually self talking to parts of ourselves. Yeah, that's the hope. We want self to lead, like who God created us to be the leader of the whole system. Yes.
I'm curious to hear more about your journey and just how you grew in confidence in building the Halo project, and even things about your identity that you felt like was affirming from the Lord, like I am called to do this to help other people discover their identity.
That's a big question because there's so many parts to it, right? There's people along the way, there's personal experiences, but even that idea of being born to a mother who's hands and feet and a father who's science. All of those influences and making sense of those influences as I move about. The people that come into my life. I mean, Tracy, when I got here, showed me a picture on her phone of our cohort in 2021, and I looked at myself, I was like, I am not that person anymore. I would say later on now, in life, it's a lot of courageous decision making and putting myself in positions where I will grow and saying yes to the things that God puts in front of me. This work, the identity work, came out of very personal, very difficult, challenging, hard relationships where somebody was trying to steal my worth and I had to fight for it. And at the same time, I was leading a group of women who had exposure to intimate partner violence, and they were all fighting for theirs. And I'm fighting for mine in my personal life. And so together we're just, what is this and how do we come out of this? So a lot of it suffering, right? A lot of it suffering. But I think now it's about the courage to say yes, just to get up and do your pitch. You're not going to be the same person when you're done with this cohort that you are today because you're putting yourself in these novel, challenging, stretching experiences. I was also in Poland a while back, and I talked to Tyler about this, and Auschwitz is in Poland. And so I purposely went a couple days early so that I could visit Auschwitz. And my colleague and I went to visit Auschwitz. Has anyone ever been there? I know some of you might have visited another concentration camp, but I walked out of that day a different person. So just showing up and being there and exposing myself to what happened there, which you cannot make sense of. I will never make sense of it. I don't think anybody can. But the takeaway from that was, and I was telling Tyler, there's like no fear, no more fear. Because as those individuals experienced what they did, all I could think about is the only way that I can feel okay about this is to live the life that they probably would have wanted to. And this idea of not having any regret and not letting fear be a part of my life. So that was like an instantaneous switch for me. And I've noticed since coming back from that experience, I operate differently. I mean, I came into the team, I was like, this is what we're doing. And I didn't know that I had a lot of fear and insecurity still, because I'm, like you guys, on the journey. You don't know it's there necessarily until there's potentially a reason to take it away. So dropped that one. See you later. Fear and insecurity. Feels good. But I wouldn't have probably been able to do that had I not had the experience of Auschwitz. So that's probably more than you bargained for. Yeah, saying yes. I think I will end on that. Does that sound good? Thanks, guys. Thanks for trusting me. I appreciate it. Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Guys,